Although I am a member of the Church of Satan, I do not speak for the Church of Satan.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this installment. I suppose it's episode 12 of the Undertaking Satan podcast. A wonderful and happy Halloween to everyone out there. If you're performing any rituals or anything of that nature tonight, may they be successful. If you're just going out to party, may you indulge well, and may the consequences be light. What do we have for you in store? I got the idea to release this because it's a group conversation between myself, Grendel, my wonderful partner, who's also a funeral director. Her name is Lady Grendel, and we were talking to Robert Shirley over on Neutral Wisdom, and he brought on his lovely wife, Mizz Wizz. So we had kind of this great interaction. We realized that both of our ladies are witches of a different variety. That's not all the conversation entails. There's Warlocks as well. Warlock Shirley talks in depth about his experience in the Warlock Academy, which of course is the mindchild of the author, Dr. Reverend Robert Johnson, who of course wrote The Satanic Warlock. Basically, it was just nice, indulgent fun from two couples who had never met each other on different sides of a border, but very much the same in a lot of ways. So without further ado, let's go ahead and listen to some spooky folks talking about spooky things here on the Undertaking Satan podcast.
Welcome to this installment of Undertaking Satan. This is a very special episode, folks. I'm here with Warlock Robert Shirley and his lovely wife, Mizz Wizz. We're getting together to talk about Satanism, funeral service, all that sort of stuff, even maybe their recent ventures over to Poughkeepsie, kind of going to the metaphoric holy land of Satanism, if you will. With that being said, hi guys, how you doing?
Hello.
Hello there.
Thanks for having us tonight.
Absolutely. I can't believe I had her on my show. Now you're having her on your show. I don't know what's happening here, but...
That just means that Grendel is a smart man.
Yeah, we'll make the best of it. How's that?
Hey, my ladies here, do you think we're technically swinging at this point?
Virtually.
Wow. Well, I don't know where your keys are. I know where my keys are. Well,
Yeah, so all kidding aside, thank you guys. Warlock Shirley, I was really impressed by a lot of your writing and a lot of your speaking on everything you've learned in the Warlock Academy, and especially your episode with Mizz Wizz where you interviewed her over on Neutral Wisdom, which everyone should check out, by the way. I think that one of the things that us as Satanists really, really are misunderstood on is the fact that we love way more than we hate. We just put those things into perspective, and we have actual rules on those things when a lot of people do not. So our significant others or multiple significant others, if you swing that way or whatever the situation might be, are very, very, very valuable to us. And that's kind of the idea of why I wanted to get everyone together tonight and talk a little bit. So I'd really like to get ourselves out of the way because we do this all the time. Mizz Wizz, could you just talk about yourself a little bit, introduce yourself, and then we'll move over to Lady Grendel.
Wow, there isn't a whole lot to say. I am horribly boring. To put a long, boring story short, I was raised in a very small town, French Catholic, which as I got older, realized that didn't really jive with me. I started looking at alternatives to that when I started to realize that, wow, the world is a big place and there are a lot of alternatives out there. Ironically, I went from Catholicism to Jehovah's Witnesses, which is an interesting leap when you think, you're trying to get out of kind of that forced way of thinking and lack of freedom. That did not last long, thankfully, and I started to kind of go towards the, Wiccan and pagan sort of lifestyle, which has kind of stuck with me. And that's kind of where I am now, just having that freedom to be what I want to be when I want to be it, and having no rules and just experiencing life the way I want to experience it. So that's where I am today.
Awesome. Lady Grendel, you want to do a little intro about yourself?
Sure, yeah. I'm Lady Grendel. So I guess my I don't know, impact from religion. I was really religiously confused. My mother's side of the family was like Cherokee Indian and Roman Catholic. My dad's side was definitely like just regular Methodist. I didn't really jive with any of it. So my mom actually, all of her friends and things like that were all witches and would celebrate every moon cycle, every season. You know, it was very earthly and more my style. I guess I kind of felt drawn to it, if you will. And over the years, I kind of honed it into a very, I'm very a singular witch, if you will. I don't really, I'm very introverted actually, so I don't really practice with a lot of people. I do have a best friend that we have our we go on Sundays and we have our church. We do what we have to do to make it through the next week, you know, different things, talk about different things, do different rituals and things for the upcoming things for the week, and talk about what we have to face for the week. And I think that's kind of really a grounding process. And so I guess that kind of really goes with the Green Witch thing, I guess. The world of Satanism definitely is something that kind of lines up and matches with a lot of my views. And so that was what interested me the most. And when he told me that that's what he was into. And so every time, you know, there's anything that was said or talked about it, I just kind of paid close attention. And I was like, you know, really, that's just the straightforwardness and plainness and all-encompassing love that really any religion is. And for me, I guess I think that maybe the thing that ties us together is probably mortuary, but I think that definitely the points of views of it, like all-inclusive and, you know, not indoctrinating children, not, you know, that kind of thing. I think a lot of the things are very similar anyway. So I don't know, I mean, or known much about the world of Satanism. So I guess I don't want to say that I'm a Satanist wannabe, but I definitely agree and feel wholeheartedly that anything that I've ever learned about it from Grendel, it's been very, I would say, informative and on the same level of what I agree with. So
I would have to say that's very much like me, Lady Rendell, in that same thing. I was never exposed to Satanism in the past, other than in negative ways, which many people are. And when Rob started to study it, I became really, you know, aware of how it did line up with my natural way of thinking.
It does.
Right? And realizing that, you know what, hey, I just might be a Satanist by default without even realizing it.
Sure.
So that's really interesting because it kind of lines up with most people's natural thought processes when you take religion out of context, right? So yeah.
For sure.
Cool.
I kind of, when you said that you know, that you grew up Catholic, but I feel like we're kind of on the same level as far as I was, like being kind of religiously confused. You didn't know which way, it just didn't feel right anyway.
And Robert, I wanted to just kind of, we were talking a little bit before the show, and I had this idea to get the ladies involved because when we were doing, I think, my interview over on Neutral Wisdom, we had talked about the fact that you actually had aspirations of being a funeral director. Over here on our side of things with myself and Lady Grendel, we're, you know, we live in a funeral home. We're both funeral directors. We both kind of divide the share 50-50 on this stuff. So I wanted to know if you guys could talk about the decision-making process on that, what led to it, that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Are you rubbing it in, Grendel? Is that what you're doing right now?
I can tell you how the decision-making process went. No effing way am I living above a funeral home.
That's pretty much it, word for word.
So,
you know what? I do want to, in my own defense, say that, you know, at the time when this was brought up, we were very young and new in our relationship. And I think that if I had been more, you know, emotionally and life mature, that maybe my outlook would have been different. But it's not everyone who comes out of the woodwork and says, I want to be a funeral director.
You get two of them right there that did that. Yeah.
We got together under that, so we were.
So they were they were separately cool, and then they got together. Right, where I was cool before you, and then you made me relatively uncool by smashing my dreams.
Next question.
On the figurative stones of despair.
Well, I think that puts a definitive pin in that question. So yeah.
Thank you. Normally I say I don't want to talk about it, but you pulled it out, so there you go.
It's okay, because I've never done anything like this, and again, I'm a total introvert. So this is weird for me. I don't even like Alexa or Siri or anything like that. It to be honest, it fucking creeps me out.
Yeah, but what's hilarious is her entire profession is making public events and arranging funerals with families where there could be a family of 30 that brings everyone to arrangements, and she's completely fine. I've seen her arrange funerals. She's like the best person in front of a crowd, but like she just doesn't think she is. So it's very weird.
That's a great podcast idea right there. Right? How does an introvert become extrovert in order to satisfy their profession?
Yeah, Grendel, why don't you interview your wife? I did it, and look how it turned out for me.
Seems like it turned out great, Rob.
I won't respond in case that episode comes to fruition.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I also wanted to talk about, again, this is, you were just talking of you guys being jealous of us. We were definitely jealous of you seeing all of the pictures that you took over in Poughkeepsie, just kind of your travels. Looks like you met a lot of prominent satanic figures, probably the most prominent satanic figure. I just kind of wanted to pick your guys' brains. Anything you can share. Obviously, don't share anything that was private, but yeah, how was that? Because we're dying to know.
What I found and what I've been sharing with people actually is we had the opportunity to sit with Magus Gilmore and Megan Adramia at dinner on the Saturday night. And what was absolutely incredible about it is we did not talk, quote unquote, shop about anything. They're so well versed in so many topics. We talked about everything from movies to theater to
music,
booze to music to comedy. They're into some of the same Canadian comedy that we're into, and it's absolutely amazing the depth and breadth of knowledge that Magus Gilmore has on just about anything that you ask him. And I also learned the hard way that if you order a cocktail with Mama Satan and you don't know what goes in it, she'll just take over and order it for you. So note for you in the future if you're ever in that situation.
Well, I appreciate that. So, Mizz Wizz, I was kind of interested to see, as we talked about, you're kind of more on the pagan side of things, but obviously you were along for this adventure. So what were kind of your impressions of the folks that you met and the things that you did?
Not being an official Satanist, nobody made me feel like an outsider, but I was aware in a way that I was, but that was just self-imposed. But realizing the opportunity that I had that a lot of other people, primarily Satanists, that would have given their right arm to be in my situation, I really appreciated having had that opportunity. I lapped it up, honestly, and I didn't know what to expect. It certainly wasn't that. Having just a conversation, I mean, these are highly, highly intelligent people, public figures, and just being able to jazz about normal stuff and just, easily moving from topic to topic about really like nerdy things was so cool. And at one point, I mean, really almost like forgetting where you were and what you were doing and who you were with. That's awesome.
I did try to pawn her off on Magister Dr. Robert Johnson.
Anytime. I'll go anytime.
Yeah, I know. She's got a room in his house now as far as he's concerned. So, we may not be seeing much of Mizz Wizz if things go different. But, no, Magister Johnson is very fond of you. So that's...
and I of him. So
there
it's all
there
good.
you go. There you go.
Awesome. Well, hey, while we're on that subject, you've been very open about the fact that you participated in Magister Johnson's Warlock Academy and talked a little bit about your experiences on on your podcast here and there. It's kind of in a lot of the writings you've been doing over there as well. And to tell you the truth, I've been back and forth, just kind of hearing your testimonials and stuff, something that I might be interested in. So for folks who don't know, Dr. Johnson wrote the Satanic Warlock, which is a counterpart to the Satanic Witch, which was written by Magus LeVay, of course, back when he was with us. And it's a wonderful work that I want to dive into, just as much as I can. I think it's been very transformative for you from what I've heard, and I just want to know more, to tell you the truth.
Oh, not a problem. It's So as you say, the Satanic Warlock was written by Magister Dr. Johnson as the companion piece to The Complete Witch. And it was Magus LeVay that recommended that Magister Johnson write the book. And he received the go-ahead from the Magus and Maga to proceed with that. So in 2016, he published that book. And he created the Warlock Academy as a finishing school for people who have learned from the book. So it's a process. You apply, you're vetted, and then you're accepted into the academy. And it basically takes on all the teachings of Magister Johnson's book, and it really expands on them. Some of the bigger things that it goes into that, of course, he's not able to go into in the book is working on oneself. Because when you work on yourself, that influences the person that you project out into the world. So it's dealing with your shadow self, which, of course, is a theory that was created by Carl Jung. And the shadow self is that piece of yourself that's inside that prevents you from doing things. It's your fear. It's the things that you will do unconsciously because you learn to do them at a young age or through some kind of traumatic experience. So a lot of what we talked about was dealing with the shadow self and doing that shadow work. One of the hugest takeaways is outcome dissociation. It's so much easier in life to go through things and ask for things that you want if you really don't care what the outcome is. So that's the hardest part for most people. If I want a raise at work and I go ask for a raise at work and I'm told no, I don't care because I asked for it. Maybe somebody thought I wasn't ready yet. Because I didn't invest all my energy and all my time and all my thought into that, doesn't affect me the way that it would affect maybe somebody else. So it's a lot of internal work, and the internal work becomes manifestation of the outer person. And that's what we're putting out there. Now, again, because it's a companion piece to the Satanic Witch, the witch was written by Magus LeVay for the female and how the female can utilize glamour as lesser magic to influence the environment around her. Warlocks are a little bit different. We have masculine energy. And Magister Johnson will tell you the reason that he didn't write the book, or the reason that Magus LeVay didn't write the book, is that he felt that men had that knowledge intrinsically and didn't need a guide. And Magister Johnson kind of recognized that the way that society was moving at the time, that it was necessary. Magister Johnson is very big on the masculine. There's nothing wrong with being a male, and there's nothing wrong with acting like a male. We're animals at heart. This is how we behave. The male and the female of any species act in different ways. So the Warlock Academy really helps to harness that as well. The beast in man that needs to be exercised, not exorcised. In addition, there's some great contacts that you make with the Warlock Academy and the Hellfire Brotherhood. I've been fortunate enough to have been elevated to the Black Guard of the Hellfire Brotherhood, which is like an inner sanctum of Warlock Academy graduates who exemplify what the Warlock Academy is all about. So if that's what you're looking at, if you want to learn how to be more masculine in today's world, where it is becoming increasingly difficult to do so, the Warlock Academy is a finishing school for satanic men who want to embrace that and apply Satanism in that manner.
Gotcha. Well, thank you so much for that. I never take things like this lightly. I always weigh my options heavily, but that's certainly something that seems like it would be right up my alley, not just because it's not like I need to be more masculine, but fitting that masculinity into today's society, just kind of polishing up that lesser magic, I think is a great idea, And I just want to talk about the books that we're talking about here, the Satanic Witch and the Satanic Warlock. And of course, the Satanic Witch was once known as the Complete Witch when it was written. I think in a very neutral wisdom type of vein over on your podcast, if anybody were to read anything from the Satanic canon, I would suggest those two books. Us as Satanists, we don't care what society needs. That's none of our business. We are involved in ourselves and our families and our pursuits. But if there was, metaphorically thinking, one thing that I think that society could benefit from is everybody reading those books and figuring out exactly what the hell you are. Because I think a lot of folks have forgotten we're not even at a point where you can use what you have. A lot of folks just don't understand what they are. And this isn't a comment on gender or any of that. This is just a comment on individuality. And I do want to just point out here that Satanism at Large and both of those books that I recommended, one, of course, was written way before the other one. But there is no shaming here of gender or sexuality or anything like that. We love this stuff. We love indulgence. We love living life to its fullest and squeezing the juice out of everything that you can. So if anybody thinks that they're going to be judged or anything like that for any of their sexual or gender proclivities, negative. I think that this is just a wonderful thing for every human being. I'm going to level with you here, sir and madam. I don't think they're smart enough to understand what they would read. But if there were one saving grace, maybe, just maybe, you should check that out. If not, do what you're doing. I'm sure it's going well for you.
The books are good because what they do is they teach you to focus. By extension, I can speak for the Warlock Academy. It teaches you to focus and to recognize and apply the gifts that you already have and kind of intrinsically know that you have, but you haven't been aware of it. So what the Satanic Warlock and the Warlock Academy allowed me to do was give a name to a lot of things that I've been doing naturally my whole life. Mizz Wizz will attest to the fact that since I became a Satanist, I'm a hell of a lot nicer guy than I used to be. And since I went through the Warlock program and began to apply that, I'm a hell of a lot sharper than I used to be.
I have to, I really liked what you said, Grendel, about learning who you are. And I think that hits the nail on the head because, the works, the satanic works had such an impact on Rob. And I remember the one day him coming to me and saying, I'm not a bad person. And that being pivotal because prior to that, struggling with, I have to be a nice guy, and I have to be good, and I have to be what people, would frame me as being a positive individual. And thinking, being so constrained within that framework. And then reading these books and realizing just because I don't fit this particular mold doesn't make me a bad person. It just, now I realize who I am, and that's okay. He actually became better. In the weird twist of irony, suddenly he's more patient towards himself, towards other people, more inclusive, more understanding, not just that, but more willing to put himself out there and take risks and become more successful. It's been absolutely nothing but good has come out of his learning and reading these works. So I can't say enough good about it.
Well, thank you guys so much for your input on that. Everyone, please check out what we're talking about. I want to revert back real quickly to the piece of writing that you opened with in our conversation over on Neutral Wisdom, Warlock Shirley. It's this idea of confronting death and this idea of understanding that you need to understand that you're going to die. That's what Lady Grendel and I deal in every day. And I think that one of the biggest things that we can do, not only as Satanists, but as individuals, if they're smart, is to contemplate our own demise so we can kind of get it out of the way and make some plans for our impending demise. With that being said, if you guys would you just speak about a little bit, how would you guys like your funeral to look? Because whichever one of you passes away first, you'll be planning the funeral for the other. No pressure. We've actually had this conversation with our 18-year-old. So yes.
Yeah. So according to her, Liz is going to go first because that's just the way that it's going to work out. So, but you know what? First of all, I got to say, I don't care because I'm dead. So it doesn't matter to me. Funerals are for the living. That's how I see it. You both may have a different viewpoint of that, but funerals are for the living. And a satanic funeral, by and large, is a celebration of the accomplishments of the person that's passed so that people can remember them and have a good time. Yeah, I have a legacy already. So I have writing, I have podcasts, I will have books. I don't care. I'll be dead. It won't matter to me. If people are going to celebrate me, I guess, the one or two that might show up might have something nice to say. I don't know.
3 or 4 at
Well,
least.
3 or 4 at least. But if she goes first, it's party central. That's what we'll do because she deserves that. So that's just how I've been looking at it.
Well, we did talk about it, and we asked our daughter, like, really, and I mean, we looked at it as, what if we went together? Like, what if we both, passed away at the same time? And I was like, well, what do you want? Like, what do you need from us to go through that process? So we had that conversation with her, and it's like, to me, I'm not about the, lay in a casket and have people, line up and look at me. That creeps me out. So I'm like, burn me up and have a good time. Like, have supper.
That's not what I play. I was going to tie her to the roof of my car like National Lampoon's Vacation and drive until I find whatever state you're in. Then we'll figure it out.
So after we meet with the lawyers, I'll be good to help you out on that. I think I'd like to close with the ladies. Lady Grindle, is there any questions that have been boiling in your mind for this lovely couple here?
Actually, I just really appreciate the time and the kind of the input and kind of knowing that we're kind of both in the same spot there. It sounds like we've had a lot of commonalities growing up, a lot of, as far as spiritual and religious beliefs. Rob, you're incredibly well spoken.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're very good. But anyway, no, you're absolutely beautiful, Mizz Wizz, and I appreciate your guys' time tonight. And I just, like I said, I'm a virgin. This is the first time for me.
Oh, so glad it was with us. Nice.
I have a question for the two of you, though. I'm going to reverse it on you.
Okay,
I don't have to bring her. She's going to live with Magister Dr. Johnson.
That's right.
So I can come and work for you guys down in your funeral home. I'll do anything. It's all right.
We'll keep you in the basement. I think that
A funeral bitch.
Yeah, a funeral bitch. No, yeah, that would be awesome. So yeah,
Like a T-shirt out of that.
so after you strap her to the car and deliver her down to us, breaking a multitude of international laws, we'll talk about that. So
Sounds good. You're on. I'm gonna hold you to that.
Daddy always said, do what your heart desires and ask for forgiveness later. Fuck them.
Wow, you never lived with her 20 years ago. But that's good advice.
all right, guys. Well, I think we should end it there. It's been a wonderful time, guys. This has been Undertaking Satan. Please make sure to go over and check out the Neutral Wisdom podcast. There's a plethora of knowledge and great oration and writing over there. Do me a favor and check that out. This is Grindle signing off. Bye now.